remember getting a demo of Concrete Genie. It might have been at E3 in 2018. Then I kind of forgot about the game, and maybe it's because PlayStation wasn't at E3 this year, but it's been under my radar for a while. And then I started to see folks like Media Molecule congratulate the developers of this game on Twitter, and I went, oh, yeah, I got to get back to that. And I have to report that this is a magical game. This is absolutely a game that you should play with younger people in your family to introduce them to the magic that video games can provide and the magic that stories in video games can provide.
This is unbelievable.
You play this little boy in this town called Deska, this little fishing village where life has been stolen away from it, and everything is gray and dark and gloomy, and you are an artist. And what happens is you encounter this group of bullies, and they look through your art book and they rip it apart and put pages everywhere, and you escape to this lighthouse, and you encounter this little magical being called Luna, and in this lighthouse you discover that your artistic abilities are infused with sort of this magical ability, and you bring this little genie, this little concrete genie, to life with your artistic brushstrokes. And the way that I created art in this game is I used the DualShock 4 controller's motion control sensibility, and I would point the controller at different areas on walls on the screen, and I would choose from a bunch of different graffiti schematics to compose these sort of living animated little works, and it would bring back all kinds of color. And you're basically lighting up these sort of Christmas lights scattered throughout the town. And as you're bringing to life the different zones of Denska, you start to push away the darkness and all of these dark, thorny tendrils that have taken over different districts. And you do that from zone to zone to zone, all the while kind of outwitting and pushing back against the oppression of these bullies.
Don't be scared, Ash.
And this is where the game kind of elevated to another level, is what happens if you get kind of into these scenarios where you get captured by the bullies, and usually this is through cut sequences. One of the bullies might grab your giant brushstroke, and you'll have this sort of flash sequence, this hand-drawn illustrated sequence, which shows some of the reasons why these little kids, these bully kids, are acting the way that they are. And just that sort of beautiful empathetic streak that is rushing through the composition of this game, it was really marvelous. It adds this emotional underbelly and, a reason for this game to exist other than its cool mechanics. It's a platformer, it's an action-adventure game where you're not really threatened. You're not really, it's not like a loss of life type scenario. It's not Uncharted. You don't ever feel like the stakes are that high. But I didn't really care, because through the composition of these really cool living graffiti artistic works that you can create and craft on walls all through Denska are just so cool and so addictive.
Bravo! Yeah, good job.
Of course, you're not just creating these little scenic scenarios where you can add the moon or a rainbow or thunderclouds or whatever. You're also creating different kinds of genies with different kinds of latent abilities. Like you'll craft red ones that have the ability to burn different objects, so that'll allow you to access new areas. Or yellow ones which have electrical powers infused in them, and so they will turn on gadgets that you'll need to be able to access maybe higher areas within the city. Start up forklifts or something that will give you a ledge that you can climb up to so you can get across a wall that is a barrier to you. So there's some interesting little puzzle elements in there, and there's definitely lots of little sort of collectible hooks as well, like you might interact with a cat that pleases one of the concrete genies that you've created, or you collect a bunch of pages for your art book, and every time that you collect them there's actually a legitimate reward there. It gives you more customization options in the art that you're going to create throughout the game. Couple all of that with just beautiful artwork. I mean, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous game. Part of it with this great emphasis on adding all of this color to these gray, drab, monotone levels and worlds, but also the animations and the cut sequences on the faces of the kids, and all of these little sort of special effect flourishes that are happening, little butterflies and little magical lights flying all over the place. Absolutely gorgeous. The music is great as well. This is a very, very nice, enveloping experience.
Nice to meet you.
Now, the one thing that I didn't do, there's a VR component to Concrete Genie. I only played this on the flat screen, but I did play this with my daughter and I played it with my nephew. They both loved it. I didn't play it enough with either of them that I could record them and get a sort of distilled thought on what they thought of everything in the game, but I saw firsthand their smiles and their curiosity, and they were both sort of pointing me in directions of things that they wanted to do, and they were guiding me in the kinds of artwork that I was crafting within the game, and I could tell that they were entranced by this game, as I was.
We've got a lot more painting to do.
It's not a hardcore action adventure. It's definitely not going to challenge you, in your gamer skills, but I guarantee you it's going to transport you to a new world, and you are going to be impressed by this wonderful creative work. This is a beautiful game, and please don't overlook it, especially if you play PlayStation 4 games with any younger folks in your household. I think you are going to love this game. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.